So where is Georgia going to start its 2020 football season, and should you expect to be there? I'll tell you in this video. Dean Legge from Dawg Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. The Georgia Bulldogs are slated to start the season against Virginia in an opening weekend kickoff game on Labor Day. Right now, everyone is everyone is planning for that game to still go on. I talked with Gary Stokan, who runs the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and puts together all of these preseason games. North Carolina and Auburn are playing one another, as well as West Virginia and Florida State. Georgia is the Labor Day game, so that means they would kick off on Monday night, prime time. They'd be the only college game on, should get huge ratings. And one thing that Gary told me was that they are still hoping to play that game in Atlanta. Obviously, they're hoping to play the game on Labor Day night. If they don't play it then, things get a little more complicated. One way or the other, though, should you expect to be there? Well, it's looking like the Mercedes-Benz Dome is only going to allow about 20,000 people in. So that would mean that Virginia and Georgia would split those tickets. So, if you're in the first 10,000, fans for the Dogs, yeah, you should expect to be there. But you should also realize that you will be wearing a face covering. I don't know about temperature checks. That's something for another time. If you're wanting to go to this game, you should certainly check on your priority whenever that comes out with the university or the university's athletic department. If the game gets moved, that means that the season has been moved. This is something that Gary and I talked about for some time. Right now, the expectation, this is my expectation, is that the SEC will play 8 games and have 2 non-conference Power 5 games. That's not necessarily what Gary is saying. Gary Stokan from the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. The question really becomes, will there be a second non-conference game? And that's something that Gary Stokan and them are really wondering about. Because for them, if Georgia can have that second Power 5 game, then the game's going to move forward as planned. Georgia, Virginia. Now, we wouldn't know if that game will be on a Monday night or not. That's more up in the air. And how, this would all fall playing in the Dome with Virginia, Georgia, Florida State, West Virginia, as well as North Carolina and Auburn. How those weekends would work out, what Saturday it would be, I don't know the answer to that yet. You could have a Friday, Saturday doubleheader. I guess in theory you could have a Saturday, Sunday doubleheader. That's not what Gary said to me, but I'm just saying it off the top of my head. With all of that said, if the game moves forward, you're going to see Georgia and Virginia play one another in a Power 5 game, almost certainly at the beginning of any modified season. Then you would likely see 8 games in the SEC with a conclusion of in-state rivalries like Georgia, Georgia Tech, Florida State, etc. If the SEC decides to go with a bigger conference slate, let's say 9 games, I'm not sure how they pull that off, but let's just say they go to 9 games, which is a whole nother video, because who is the home team? Which team is playing? Are these cross-divisionals? They would have to be cross-divisionals. That would be a mess, and that's why I do not think that will happen. But if you go to that means that the Chick-fil-A kickoff game won't be Georgia, Virginia. Those two would, the SEC would sort of nix that game. And that would mean that Virginia and West Virginia would play one another, because in that scenario, Florida State would play the Gators, Georgia would play Tech, and there would be no ability to play the second non-conference game. I don't see that happening, but that's me. So my suspicion is that this game at Georgia-Virginia is going to be at the start of whatever season we have. You should expect to be there if you have tickets and you're sort of within the first 10,000 fans, because I don't think it's going to be more than that. Even if the game is delayed until October, I'm skeptical the game will be more than that in terms of fans. So that's what you should watch. Will this game happen? You're asking me today from my discussions with athletic directors, bowl people, coaches. I think it will happen, and I think there's a lot of different reasons why. Namely, everybody is looking at the college football playoff. That's something that Gary Stokan talked about a lot yesterday. By the way, his organization put on the national championship in 2017. Every 3 years they have a semifinal game. They are in the college football playoff rotation. So that is something that I think he's right about. College football playoff, that will matter. A win over Virginia would be better than a win over East Tennessee State. The other thing, too, is just the sheer chaos of the SEC and the ACC adding a conference game. For instance, Clemson couldn't add a conference game. That would get rid of Notre Dame for them. They're not going to do that. Like, that doesn't help the ACC, and it doesn't help their associate member, Notre Dame. They're needing more games for Notre Dame, not fewer. So I think right now you should expect Georgia to play a kickoff game weekend opener, however you want to put it, against Virginia in the Dome to kick off college football. The question I have, and it's still not been answered, and we don't know the answer to this yet, is it going to be on a Saturday? That's a good question. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. Thanks for watching. I want to make sure you check out this 2020 playlist right here. It's something that will make your day go by quicker. We talk about a lot of different things, Zamir White, etc. Jamie Newman, check that out. We'll see you over on that playlist.